So welcome to our team time. It is July 1st, you guys. It is literally the 7th month of the year, which means we are over halfway through 2024, which also is a great opportunity for you to reflect and say, okay, am I where I want to be for my business, for my health, for whatever it is, right? This is a good opportunity to look back because this is something that I have noticed that happens sometimes. It's happened to me, and I've heard it as I've coached other coaches before, or even clients, is that we look back and we're like, man, I'm not where I should be. I'm not where I want to be. And yet, on the everyday, we're not willing to do the work that takes us to where we want to be, right? A lot of times we come up with different ways, different rationalizations that say, well, it's not as important as what XYZ right now, right? But then when you look back, are you happy with where you are, right? And so I want to invite you guys to look back right now compared to January. Are you where you want to be? And if not, what needs to happen? If you are not where you want to be, this is a perfect time for you to schedule a call with either myself or with Eddie, okay, to do a strategy session and find out what is going on. What is it that you're doing? What is it that you want? What are the results you're getting? So that we can figure out where the gap is, right? This is a good time to look at it because if you don't connect, there's a very high probability that inside your head, there's going to be little stories that are being formed that you don't even realize it. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to watch the Inside Out 2 movie yet. I'm going to be talking about that forever. We need to do another Stuck to Success workshop because Inside Out is so brilliant, right? And I happen to have kids that are having that puberty alarm going on, right? And we've had lots of opportunities to talk about what are the stories that are going on up here that are creating massive emotions, right? And so that's what I'm talking about really, is identifying what are the stories that we're telling ourselves about our current reality that are either keeping us stuck or propelling us forward. Okay. And so if you are feeling stuck, if you are not happy with where you are, this is the week to schedule a call so that we can talk about this, find out what's going on, find out what needs to be tweaked. Okay. Having said that, I also wanted to talk to you guys about the fact that it is 4th of July this week. And we are going to be focusing, or there's a lot of focus on the topic of freedom, right? And there are two things that really stood out to me this past week on this whole topic of freedom. I actually, at church, they were talking about freedom. And I knew this, but for whatever reason, I hadn't connected the dots, that when they wrote the Declaration of Independence, they were not yet free. The Declaration of Independence, if you guys are not history aficionados or not up on your history, like I happen to not have been before, right? They declared their independence and then they went to war to make that declaration true. Okay. So when we think about what we want our world to look like, okay, that's what those people back there did. They decided what they wanted their world to look like. They made a declaration. They used their words to create a whole new world. And then they followed up those words with action. I think that's so powerful. I always tell my kids that only say it if you want it to be true because your words create your reality. Okay. And so, what if you use those words to declare what it is that you want your life and your world to look like? And then you back it up with the kind of action that those people back then backed it up with. So, in preparation for my next homeschooling year, this is going to be my first year homeschooling high school. Pray for me, please. And so, therefore, we're going to be reading a million books this year. And I prefer personal development books usually, right? But I've been listening to the books they're going to have to be reading and discussing this year so that I can discuss it with them. And so it just so happens that this week I'm reading a book about this teenage boy that was involved with the Boston Tea Party, right? And he was part of those people that were dumping the tea into the ocean or whatever, the water. I don't think it's ocean. I don't know what kind of water that body of water thing it was, but they were dumping the tea into the water, right? And it sounds like when you think of our world, okay, when September 11 happened and I watched those towers come down, my brain in the era of movies looked at that and I said, that can't be true. That has to be a movie, right? So somehow in our brains, because we're so exposed to media right now, I think that sometimes we don't like it's harder, I think, for us to see the difference between what's real and what's fiction, in the sense that the Twin Towers coming down was very, very real. But because of the power of technology and creating things that we don't imagine to be real, I couldn't fathom that that could be real. Does that make sense? Because everything coming at me, I put it through this filter of that's just a movie. That's not, can't be true, right? Yes, that is the one. The book I'm reading about is Johnny Tremain. That's the book I'm reading about, right? So, anyways, when we stop and think about the Boston Tea Party, it sounds so like, wow, they were so brave and how cool, right? And we don't stop to think about the risks that were involved in all of that. Okay. And he talks about how people were at risk of going bankrupt because of difficulties with doing business and all of this stuff. Okay. Yes. Tim, later on, you're going to have to come off and give us the authentic accent, right? But I can't do it. I can't do it. But bottom line is this, you guys, okay, is that they were living in a world that they were not happy with. They wanted a different one. They made a declaration, and then they were willing to sacrifice security for the sake of freedom. And so I would love for you to take yourself off of mute and tell me in your words, in 2024 language and experience and culture, okay, where we are not fighting the redcoats, right? That's not our current reality. But where do we find ourselves battling between security and freedom? I'd like for you to take yourself off of mute and tell me your perspective on the difference between security and freedom and how that fits into 2024 and maybe even your life. Yes, Patricia.
I think about the security of what everybody around me already knows me as, that I'm a teacher, I'm a retired teacher, I'm a special ed mom, I'm that's I'm not I'm in that world. I'm certainly not in the entrepreneurial world, or
So how does that
as far as they
contrast?
know.
Yeah, how does that contrast, that security of your established identity, either
Mm-hmm.
compare or contrast to what you perceive freedom to be?
The on the other side of stepping out from the security is, freedom, but also the impact, and ultimately the impact on my daughter's life.
So are you saying that by holding on to security, it limits the impact that you would like to have on your daughter's
Yeah.
life?
Yes. Yes.
And that to have the freedom to create the kind of impact you would like to make for her, it
Mm-hmm.
requires letting go a little bit of security?
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like challenging what everybody thinks they know about me or can expect from me.
Mm-hmm. That's very insightful. Very insightful. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add to that? Thank you, Patricia, for sharing.
Yeah, security that is doesn't acknowledge the cost of freedom, it's not security at all. It's a prison.
How does that relate to 2024, where we don't have red coats that we're fighting?
Well, let's put it this way. Most people will work until they are 65 or 85, as the president has proven. And they'll continue to work until they retire. And then once they retire, they maybe have 5-6 good years left. Their health starts to take a nosedive. And then what kind of freedom did you buy for that? You didn't buy anything. What you did, you wasted a whole lot of time with your perception that to be secure and safe was the right thing to do.
Right, right. So let me ask you this, okay? Yesterday we were talking on vitamin C a little bit about the whole idea that sometimes what we even have now, we never believed possible back then, right? And so as we talk about this difference between security and freedom, it's easy to talk about the theory about it up here, okay? It's beautiful, it's romantic, okay? It's all of this. Number one, what does that freedom look like to you? Number two, are you willing to pay the price for that freedom as those people back there were? So if we don't have clarity, and today, and like Tim said, the book I'm reading is Johnny Tremain, right? And he's listening to the politician speak. I can't remember which one was speaking, but they were all like, somebody said that it was romantic. You know, they didn't say it this way. You can't imagine soldiers saying it was romantic, but they were saying something like it was an honor to live in an era where they can lay down their life so another man could stand. And the politician said, what? What? Are you fighting so another man can stand? Why are you fighting? Right? And so the question is, what is your why? Because if it's for you to lay down your life so another man can stand, yeah, that sounds romantic and that sounds great. And that sounds like, yes, expanding impact and all of the things. But is that going to motivate you into action? Is that going to make you willing to pay the price? Okay. And what the politician was, he created this huge vision of the new world they were creating, that it wasn't just so, you know, another man could stand. It was so the man in France, so the man in Germany, so the man in South America. And he started talking about not just the people that were in the colonies. They wanted to create this world where people could come from all over the place and experience this new life. And I was moved to think, isn't that what we're all about? We are about helping people experience life in a way they never imagined possible. That a lot of people, a lot of us have felt stuck in, right? And so if we have felt stuck there and we believe in the freedom, then are we willing to pay the price to move there? That is the question. Because otherwise we will go month by month, year by year, and look back and say, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not where I want to be. And you know, does thinking about where the fact that you're not where you want to be, is that motivating or is that demotivating? Right. I see, you know, thumbs down and all of that, right? So when you look back and you say, I'm not where I want to be, that's demotivating. And so my invitation to you is to, number one, get crystal clear on what freedom looks like to you and what it is that you're fighting for, that you're willing to pay the price for, right? That's why it's of paramount importance that you schedule your strategy session with either myself or Eddie this week. I'm not talking about this month, this week, so that we can make the last 5 months of the year be what you want it to be every step of the way. And one thing that I said yesterday also that I want to remind us of, yesterday I said, if you focus on defending your limitations, you get to keep your limitations. That's just the way it works. So I want to invite you tonight at 8 p.m. The Optimal Health Community Time is going to be about declaring your freedom, right? I don't know what they're talking about. I'm not part of the behind the scenes on that. But that is the topic for our brain food this week, okay? Is declaring your freedom. And I would like to give you, I would want to invite you to take some time to like literally stop and think. I love how John Maxwell, he says that he does 5 things every day. And I can't remember what all of them were, but I know that 2 of them are every day he thinks and writes. Every day he thinks and writes. And there's 3 others that, like I said, I can't remember. But for whatever reason, the thinking and writing really stick with me. Because how often do we literally just sit there and think and then write what we thought? I don't know about you guys, but more often than not, I would rather be listening to a audiobook, right? That will feed me what to think than for me to just sit there and think. And this is why I actually take 1 day out of the year, every year, to like sit and think for the whole day and plan my day. But if we just do it once a year, that's not enough either, right? So my challenge to you is to block off at least an hour, okay, where you think and write. Ask yourself, where am I holding on to security in my life? And how is the security standing in the way of the freedom in my life? And which one is more important to me? What is it worth to me? Am I willing to fight for it? That's really what this is all about. Because if we don't do it, there's a lot of people out there that will not experience the freedom that we know exists, right? So we have to get clear up here. Because I can talk till I'm blue, guys. I can talk till I'm red. I can talk till whatever color you want me to be. And that will do nothing for nobody unless we get into action. And so that action, what did we talk about yesterday? There's 2 different kinds of motivation, right? What are those 2 different kinds of motivation? Take yourself off of mute.
Intrinsic and extrinsic.
Which is the
Teacher.
one that really moves us into action?
Intrinsic. Can I,
Yes, please.
there's a famous study, and it's about children and early literacy, and it's about like the book logs and rewarding children for reading. And there were 2 groups of children, and one group of children was told, okay, you read to, if you read 10 pages, you get a reward. And the other children were told, just read. The first group of children read 10 pages and they stopped. The second group of children just read and read and read and read.
For the fun of reading.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not because they had to, but because they wanted to, because they were having fun.
Not because of a reward or a prize or recognition, just because it was intrinsically rewarding.
And people ask me, Donnie, what changed in those 8 years that I was trying to go global, that I finally went global presidential and grew, right? What changed? I was working the same thing. I was doing the same thing, but the only thing that I can think of that changed was that on the 8th year, for whatever reason, not for whatever reason, for very intentional purposes where I was working with a coach, I was able to flip it up here and find the joy in what I was doing, regardless of the outcome. Guess what happened when I found the joy, regardless of the outcome? The outcome happened. It followed, right? So I found the joy in it and the outcome followed. And that's part of what I'm hoping to do with this challenge that we have going on. It's not about I have to exercise. It's not about I have to move, which a lot of people believe they have to exercise to lose weight, okay? I'm hoping that what we can do is move back into saying, I want to move because I want to move. I just want to move. I want to be able to walk on the beach, or I want to be able to, and I did, and I love swinging on the swings, and I don't know why I don't make time for it, right? But because I put it in the challenge, I made time for it today, and I went to the playground and I swung, and the sky was like so perfect, and I just swung for about 20 minutes. Okay. And I tried to do most of it with the actual swinging motion, right? So that I'm not just sitting there. But I do have to say that at least 5 minutes was me just hanging on with my eyes closed and letting that swing take me, right? It just felt so heavenly. And I got some vitamin D, I got some fresh air, I sweated. It was beautiful, okay? And it wasn't an obligation. I actually looked forward to it, right? And this is what we want to help our clients see. This is what we want the people that we want to attract to see. This is what we want to help our coaches see. But I'm going to tell you what, it can't come just from me, you guys. It can't. And so I invite you to be a part of this with me, because that's what Coaches on a Mission is all about, okay? Is to help gift people this freedom. And this was supposed to be just about a 5-minute conversation, and it turned out into a little bit longer than that. But I'm gonna go ahead and believe that this is what I was needing to hear, and maybe you were needing to hear too. So I hope it was helpful. So just a little bit of what we're going to be covering for today is that this week, our brain food is going to be the Declaring Your Independence video that's going to be happening tonight. So I haven't posted it because we're going to have the link for it tomorrow. Okay. So that's going to be the brain food for this week. This week, tomorrow, we also have Dr. A's Conscious Leadership Forum. I decided to not make this our brain food for this week because I thought that the topic of declaring your independence was more relevant to the 4th of July and more relevant to our conversation where we're talking about freedom to find joy in movement, right? Finding joy in movement. So for this week, we're going to be focusing on the declaring your independence, but this will be happening tomorrow. So if you're able to join live, that's great. If not, I've posted it into Mission Possible, and we will come back to it because this is the deal. If our thoughts run our lives, we're never going to have independence. We're never going to have freedom. So it's important that we learn how to identify those thoughts and not let them run the show, right? Now, the other thing that's going on this week is we have win calls every day at, 10 a.m. Eastern and at 9 p.m. Eastern, and I invite you guys to plug in. Last week, we talked a little bit about maybe us talking about which calls we could cover so that we have a steady state of Mission Possiblers or Coaches on a Mission present. And I never posted that into Coaches on a Mission. So I'll make sure to post that by tomorrow. So you can let us know which ones you could attend so that we can make sure that every session is covered with at least one lion. Okay, that's really what we would like to make happen. We will be continuing, by the way, we're going to be continuing vitamin C through convention, right? And actually through the end of this challenge, because every Sunday night we're going to be announcing a winner, and we'll talk a little bit about the challenge. So we're going to be running vitamin C through the end of this challenge. Okay. So just so that you guys know that's going to be happening. Also, we've got our weekly action hours. And if you have taken advantage of an action hour, I'd love for you to type into the chat what kind of takeaways or, benefits you found in being able to work with others. Remember that there's power hours and there's action hours. If you only have 1 hour a week, do not go to power hours. Okay. I love power hours. They've got great information. However, the action hours are designed for you to get into action. And if you only have 1 hour and you spend it in training, you will help no one. Okay. So you want to make sure that you are spending that 1 hour in action so that you can help people find the joy, make the kind of impact that you want to make. Okay. Now, the other thing that I was going to mention to you guys that is brand spanking new is that Optavia has opened up convention to everybody. So anybody that wants to join convention is absolutely welcome and invited to do so. Okay. So you can go to optaviaevents.com and register. If you happen to have been a part of this crowd, I think this was 2018. Okay. This was a convention they had here in Orlando, and we had a really great time with everybody here. And so if you have not registered for convention, we definitely invite you to join us. So the other thing I was going to mention to you guys that's coming up is this next Monday night, not tonight, but next week, there's going to be a special Optavia community event. So Optavia itself does not do these community events on a regular basis or often. So when they do them, it's a great opportunity for us to find out what's coming up next. especially with convention coming up. I think that it'll be very important for us to be there because I don't have any inside knowledge as to what they're going to be covering, but I suspect they might be making some announcements for things. If you imagine what kind of announcements they've made in the past, I wonder if they're not going to be announcing something. And so I would invite you to block that time off and be there live, because every time Optavia does an event, I don't know if or when the recording will be available. Okay, so I would block off the time and make sure that you're there live, and we'll make sure to wrap up our meeting by 8 so that you guys, or by 8 Eastern, so that you guys can join. Okay, just a little bit of a review. August 3rd, Saturday, August 3rd, there's going to be a community-wide event that's led by field leaders, not Optavia, okay, but the field leaders are coming together to do a little bit of a review of what happened at convention. So if you happen to not be there, I'm so sorry that you won't be there, because you get the most when you're there. Because the highlight of when you're at these events is when you go to the bathroom and you meet somebody and you talk about something that's so valuable to your business, okay? So I definitely want to make sure that you're there if you can be there. But if you're not there, then you want to block off your time so that you can catch the updates here. From what I understand, they're going to try to get some of the actual speakers that were spoke at convention to do a little bit of a summary for this, okay? So it's definitely something you do not want to miss. So we talked about our challenge, and you guys voted, and the name that won was the Summer Functional Fitness Challenge. And I created all of the visuals for the Summer Functional Fitness Challenge. And then all of a sudden it hit me that it could have been a Summer Functional Fitness movement, that we want people to join our movement, right? So I'm not going to change it now, but some of the wording that you guys are going to see involves this. And I want you to understand why, because it's a great play on words, right? And as we're engaging with people or having people engage with this, we want to help people understand that this is not an individual challenge. This is a part of a movement that they are going to be a part of. And that is so like motivating and inspiring. And so if you see that language, that's where that's coming from. Okay. Now I posted in the document with all of the instructions, I posted this as the instruction document. It's in there. There's a link. So you can take a screenshot if you want, but it's in that document link. And so if somebody asks you, how does this work? Okay. First of all, the main things you want to focus on is it must be fun. You must be moving. You must be safe. That's it. If you share with the correct components, you're eligible for a prize. The reason it's important that it must be fun, it must be moving, and it must be safe is because they might say, I don't want to go swing on the swings. You don't have to. You can still go do something that's fun for you. Take a picture of it, post it, tag your coach, put the thing, and be a part of the movement and still have the opportunity to possibly win a prize each week, right? We're going with Tim's idea of using the stuff we got on the cruise, because they're very summer-like, right? So there will be pool clips and there will be towels and there'll be pool bags and things like that, okay? So anyways, what I wanted to point out to you guys is this. Yesterday, I created a video where we had talked about making this challenge inside of Mission Possible, right? We were going to invite people into Mission Possible. We were going to post the prompts into Mission Possible, and we're inviting people to post on their outside walls, right? Because we want it to be public. But then I was thinking about it, and when I made that post about what was it that they enjoyed or looked forward to most in their summer, I had a lot of engagement in that post, and it was public. And so I was thinking that we will get more out of this if every single one of us functioned as our own challenge moderator. Does that make sense? So I'm moderating a movement on my wall. Heather will moderate a movement on her wall. Susan will moderate a movement on her wall. We will all moderate a movement inside of Mission Possible. Does that make sense? Okay. So we're still doing it inside of Mission Possible, but I also invite you to post it on your outside wall, not just the challenge prompt, but also how you're engaging with the challenge or the movement. Okay. So what I did is I created, to make it easy for everybody. Okay. Let me see if I can open this. in the document that has everything on there, okay, there is at the end of it, the daily challenge prompts, okay? So today's the prompt for swinging into action. And here is a post that you can make, you don't have to make, okay? This is my suggestion, make it yours, okay? The critical components is if they want to win, they have to, they do the correct hashtag, they tag you, and they have to be present live on Sunday night for vitamin C to be able to earn the prize. That's something that you want to highlight to your participants. They will win a prize if they enter correctly and if they are present live when they are announced. If they are announced and they are not on their live, we're going to ask for the next person. Does that make sense? The next person will win. So what am I hoping to do there? I'm hoping that we raise the community participation, right? And we include people that are not even part of Mission Possible or clients yet either. Remember that the whole purpose for all of this is to engage with new people and draw new business, whether that be new clients or new coaches, right? Will everybody that takes part of this, will all of them want to do 5-in-1 or need to do 5-in-1? So our job as coaches is to find out what they are looking for. I have a client that has not responded to me in years that asked for information. And when I sent her the information, she said, I'm not interested in the prizes, but I'm looking for new ways to move. What would be a great question to follow that up with?
What's so interesting about that, and what are some of your ideas?
What are some of your current health goals? Right? What are you hoping to accomplish with the movement? These
Yeah,
are some.
or
Go ahead.
what have you really loved doing in the past, like as a child, you
Yeah.
know,
Yes. All of
that
those
you'd
are
like
great
more of?
questions, right? So what we want to do is we want to engage in conversation. Just don't give them the challenge movement and go. You want to engage in conversation and try to move the conversation forward. And don't leave the conversation without inviting them to invite others to join, right? You want to have them share with others. So what I want you guys to notice is on this document, there's a social media post that I have created, okay? Now, there is also more information that you can use to add to stories or reels. And I was going to show you a tutorial on how to do that, but we're obviously out of time. I have not created these stories or reels because I took a video of me swinging. And what I was going to do is I was going to use that video to put some of these 5 health benefits of swinging on my video of me swinging, right? I'm going to post some of these benefits. And so it's going to be more personal if you have a personal either photo or picture or something that you're doing. I just included the information to make it a little bit easier for you. Okay. Do you have to use this? No, but it's there for you if you find it beneficial. Okay. So these are 5 health benefits to swinging. Tomorrow, the topic will be a dance party for one. Turn up your favorite tunes and dance like nobody's watching. Here's the social media post. And then here are some details to create stories or reels. What are some health benefits of dancing? Here you go. Do you have to use all of them? No. Do you have to use it in a story or reel? No. I'm just giving you information, and I want to invite you as the owner of your business to allow your creative juices to flow with the information I'm providing you with to make it personal. Okay. So I have included all of the posts, social media, captions, right, for the next 7 days. And then next week I'll put the next 7 days and the next 7 days. Okay. So I invite you guys to check that out. The last thing I'm going to say to you guys before we wrap up is this is you will be responsible for getting me a list of the people that you have invited or engaged with that have participated in the challenge. Okay. So if they've tagged you, you know they've tagged you. And so therefore you could see, did they use the right hashtag or whatever? I need that list by Sunday morning. Saturday night is what I've announced to everybody, but I'm giving you till Sunday morning if that's what you prefer. Either way, I need it by Saturday night so that we can have all of the names in a place where we can do our drawing on Sunday night. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'm not going to be hunting all through social media creation for everybody's post. I'm inviting every single one of you to be responsible for the engagement that you're creating because you're hosting your own challenge, okay? We're just doing it together. And I'm hoping to make it a little bit simpler because most of the content is created for you, okay? So I hope this is helpful, you guys. Remember to actually pick up your phone right now and message your mentorship team to schedule your strategy call this week, okay? This week, so we can find out what's working, what's not working, and how we can make it work sooner than later so that we can finish this year with a bang, okay? So with that, you guys have a good night. I'll see you back next week.